Legends and Yasuo mains alike. I am the Nightwing, Way of Life Esports, coming at you guys with another League of Legends video. So there has just been a long abundance of League of Legends content that I have been doing all year long, essentially. I don't know exactly when I started doing League of Legends content with JTH. I'm pretty sure it was around the beginning of last year. So just kind of a full calendar year of being able to do LOL content and learning how to do it, you know, the style that needs to go into it, the overall content that people like to see in an LOL channel. Now, overall, I think that, you know, learning and growing from this year, from this channel, I've overall learned how to, you know, do LOL content a lot more differently than content I do on my main channel, because on my main channel I do something completely literally completely different from this. And you know, it took longer than expected to grow the channel, you know, because obviously when I first did my main channel, I had no clue how to do YouTube, you know, what people like to see in a YouTube channel, the overall viewer base that you can attract, just a bunch of things that I didn't know. And then once I got better at it and learned how to do it, then I was able to apply everything I learned on that channel to this one. And obviously it took a bit of time, but I was able to overall, you know, get the hang of doing League of Legends content, and I'm overall getting a lot better at it. So there are things that I want to do, and for next year for both the channels, I'm obviously mapping out what I want to do for 2020 and what I want to achieve for those years on both channels. You know, my goals for both channels are a lot different, you know, because it's just two different subjects no matter what. And there goes into a point in time where I'm going to have to map out, do I need to do this specific thing to, you know, gain more subscribers? Do I need to do this specific thing to gain more subscribers on my main channel? And, you know, those ideas are going to clash. Obviously, I'm going to talk to some other people and see where can I actually improve on various things. And, you know, for League of Legends, this is not necessarily a news channel. I want to kind of point out, it's more or less so a channel in which I'm just giving my thoughts and opinions about specific League of Legends teams, overall, just kind of more or less so discussion videos. Now, gameplay and highlights of, you know, specific games that go on in matches, I don't know how to really edit those things, and that goes into next year about learning how to do it, because I think my biggest issue has been learning how to edit properly. I can put together a decently good video, but the editing is, I feel like, what people are really looking at. And in terms of League of Legends, I'm gonna have to eventually show highlights of gameplay and, you know, just overall talking over the highlights of gameplay, and that's what people like to see. So moving into next year, I'm gonna try and learn how to do that. There is no promises, no guarantees, because if I can't learn something, I'm just gonna have to, you know, accept that and move on. But that's not to say I'm not gonna try. It's just more or less so to say that I'm gonna at least attempt at it. And if my League of Legends news and, you know, let's say my information and intelligence on the game isn't as crisp and clean as a lot of other people you might potentially watch, I'm not really gonna be looking at that, because next year I'm going to be focusing on me specifically, because I feel like a lot of people, not just in the League of Legends scene or people that watch League of Legends content, they do something that I was taught as a kid never to do. The only person in life you should really focus on, not selfishly, is you. And I've been doing too much, you know, focusing on other people and what they're doing to improve, and not really improving myself. So if my League of Legends knowledge and gameplay of League needs to get better, I'm going to get better at that. And there's no reason why I can't get better at it. I can just literally learn. It's not that hard. If there's complex things that I need to learn by reading patch notes and reading what champions are obviously going to be really good for the meta, or obviously reading into why specific teams pick certain champions in a pick and ban phase, I can get better at that. There's no reason why I can't, and I can improve at that. So next year is going to be a overall improvement year for this specific channel. My main channel, I'm gonna be looking at doing something completely out of my comfort zone, which that's something I want to originally go for. And this is obviously a channel in which, you know, I want people to come in here and give me their thoughts and opinions, and you know, overall look at things a different way, because that's why I kind of, you know, rebranded the channel's name to that, because overall I want people to express yourself the way you want. And obviously, I've been wrong about things about certain league teams, but it doesn't really matter. It's my opinion. Everybody else has their own opinion when it comes to LOL, LOL, League of Legends related things. So yeah, just wanted to kind of cover that at the beginning of the video and kind of just give a broad example of what my goals are for next year for the channel. I'm currently mapping out certain things to do. If you have suggestions, then leave them in the comment section below. I don't really believe anybody is, but just might as well throw it out there. So you guys know that YoungBuck left Fnatic, and he never really talked about why. All he kind of really said was that they had internal issues, and internal issues for Fnatic was said during Thorin, Elitist United episodes, Listen Local episodes. They would kind of minutely gloss over it. So YoungBuck has kind of opened up about it, because I haven't really read the article yet. YoungBuck kind of opens up. A small group on Fnatic didn't really care about the team practices. After leaving Fnatic for XL Esports, YoungBuck has revealed that a select few players on his former team did not take practices seriously, and because of that, he said his job didn't feel very fulfilling. Compared to 2019, I would say a small group didn't really care much about the team practice and didn't put any effort into it, YoungBuck said in an interview with Esport Monaco's. They didn't really talk during the practice or gave feedback to teammates or wanted to receive teammates' feedback. I don't really know specifically what type of teammates he's talking about, because he doesn't really say. I imagine he doesn't say. But I'm not gonna guess. Obviously, I don't want to say anything, but I have an idea, but I'm not gonna say it. The former Fnatic head coach has been quite vocal about his experiences and unhappiness with the team over the past year. He also said that he asked himself, am I going to be happier on another team? To which he answered yes. He also admitted that XL might not perform as well as Fnatic, since the talent difference between both teams is quite large. Even so, YoungBuck said that he was focused more on finding a roster with good team atmosphere instead of simply focusing on success and winning, something he has gotten used to over the past 4 years. XL's players are younger and will be more open to improvement and growing as a squad. There is plenty of work for YoungBuck to do. Since XL was the worst team in the LEC in the past year, there has been plenty of speculation surrounding the possible lineup the team in 2020. But you can bet that the Six-Star General will be ready and willing to take on a new challenge for his career. So, overall, I don't know if you guys have been more or less so following Fnatic. I'm not their fan, but I respect them. If that can make sense to you guys, I respect them for, being one of the first really good Western League of Legends teams. I still remember back when they had Huni, Reignover, Febiven, Reckless, Yellowstar going 18-0 in EU LCS. Yeah, good old times. Yeah, I was never their fan, but I could respect them. And looking at every single iteration of Fnatic, there always seems to be, this is just my own personal opinion. You can debate with me if you want. A lot of people might think like I do. You can kind of tell that there's this general personality clash. I'll even give you a recent example a couple years ago. Remember when Fnatic were in the group with Immortals, Longju, and Gigabyte Marines, who are now called GAM Esports? And weirdly enough, Immortals are back in the LCS, and Longju have, gone since become Kingzone, or now called Dragon X. Really, really weird, right? Remember when they went like 0-3 and then Soaz was on Twitter just going mad ham crazy in his own Soaz way? And then, you go to Caps and you go, why? There's a video about why he left Fnatic. And, there's just so much stuff that certain Fnatic iterations have that I don't really trust. Because even this year, going into it, and this is how I feel. If you think I'm wrong, that's your own personal opinion. I'm not about to debate with what's my own personal opinion. This year's Fnatic didn't really look like they gelled or even kind of liked each other. It was more or less so, I'm your coworker, so that's why we have to get along. That's how I felt the team atmosphere was. Like, even when you watch their Legends Rising series and when they did videos, it really kind of felt like they had a horrible team atmosphere, because remember, they talked about going through a lot in order to actually improve. And if you have to go over a lot to improve and actually get over a certain hurdle, then there's obviously something wrong there. Caps had this like happy-go-lucky personality. So does Bwippo, and then obviously that left. So well with Caps, and then where do you really have that? Because Nemesis is overall a pretty serious dude. Reckless is a pretty serious dude. Hillsing's a pretty serious dude, and so is Broxa to a certain extent. And all the players are pretty serious, so you kind of factor in if they're losing, they're probably going to end up being very mad at each other. Now, that's not to say it's toxicity. It's just saying that certain player and personalities don't really clash very well. I've just noticed this with various iterations of Fnatic, that if certain players don't have really a happy, more or less so attitude, then there always tends to be a report later on, years later on, or a couple of months, that there's been some internal issues. Now, that's not to say that YoungBuck was the cause of any of this. What I'm saying is that there's a recurring theme of this. There has been a recurring theme of this. The biggest example I can pretty much give you is that SOAS one. I remember kicking Gamsu and Spirit, bringing in kicking Gamsu and bringing in Spirit, that type of situation. You have the amazing situation where he got kicked off by Nico DePico. It's just, there's a track record there that people just don't notice, but if Fnatic's doing well, they kind of forget about everything. This is not the first time they did this type of thing. And it's not the YoungBuck thing, it's more or less so the team itself doesn't really feel like an atmosphere of, hey, if I'm playing bad, then something might happen to a certain extent. It's really hard to say, but it's the things I think about when certain personalities join teams, like when Sven joined TSM, things change. It's just these big orgs, I feel like when they get certain players that aren't exactly not happy, it's like if you have a more serious demeanor, then it kind of can be a problem later on. That's all I'm saying. Not trying to put anybody out there, talk mad BS. I'm just saying how I've been feeling about Fnatic for a very long time. Also, having extremely lucky groups and Worlds doesn't make things easier. Also, yeah, I'll be making that video eventually. Lucky groups at Worlds. That hasn't specifically involved Fnatic, even though they've had lucky groups in World Championships. I think this is one of the few years they've been at Worlds where they've had an extremely hard group. I'll go over that stuff in a future video, but overall, there are easier groups at Worlds, and I think people finally this year caught on that there is easier groups in Worlds. I mean, come on, Splice, J-Team, FPX, and GAM. I mean, if that isn't any indication that that is an easy group, your brain just don't work. But let's go. I think he didn't really talk about anything different in this big post, but I'll kind of gloss over it. And then let me see what he said. YoungBuck, why YoungBuck left Fnatic. Let's see. So kind of explains it all the way down here. Holy crap, that's a lot to read, man. Let's see what I can really say about this. YoungBuck explained, him talking. First of all, I wanted to stay in Europe. I did look at North American and LPL because I think they're interesting regions, but I had a preference for Europe. Then I had to compare the projects with each other. I know a lot of people that are either active within Excel or had previously worked for Excel. They were all very positive about the organization. I really like the prospect of their staff, infrastructure, and potential roster. In the end, it was just a decision based on a project that seemed really promising, and also I like the challenge of bringing a team from the 10th place to the playoffs. I know I will find a lot of fulfillment in that job because I feel like the players are going to be hungry and teachable, and there is a really high ceiling that can be reached within the team. It wasn't just YoungBuck's decision to it's late. It wasn't just YoungBuck's decision to join Excel. That came as a surprise. Many weren't quite prepared for his exit from Fnatic either, but the 28-year-old admits his happiness is more important than success with Fnatic. He told us, without going deep into it, it was a year where I didn't find a lot of fulfillment with my job, and the players had some contradicting philosophies, whether there should be more effort put into solo queue or team practice. It also caused a lot of issues. There were issues of players not wanting to play with each other. They're going to make changes that are necessary to build a healthy team atmosphere, at least one that I align with. So that's why I decided to move on. When asked whether it was a personal decision to leave Fnatic, YoungBuck confessed it was a bit of both. He said, I have been contemplating whether I should stick with Fnatic for a few months. I know I'd probably find more happiness in other teams, but then again, I'm very big, ambitious, and Fnatic usually does provide a really strong roster like they did this year. There was so much talent on their roster this year, and we were always united on the surface and got together, which provided some really good moments. Winning feels really good which made the decision really difficult. We're competitors, and we're usually extremely competitive driven. It would have made it easier if we bombed out of groups and didn't make it to the quarterfinals at Worlds, but in the end, I know what Fnatic are going to do, and I'm not fully aligned with it, but I do still think they'll probably make it to Worlds next year. It's just that I will find happiness elsewhere and more fulfillment. My happiness comes first, and I've really come to terms with the fact that my happiness is way more important than, let's say, qualifying for Worlds and making it out of groups, but not having fun doing the job or being part of the team. And he does get to kind of reunite with Expect, and he gives us his ambitions on, what, his overall prospect for the roster is. It's really hard to say. I agree with him, and this is the reason why I do certain things the way I do, and why I interact with people the way I do, is because, I'm gonna be honest, and he is right, and this is kind of like the way I think too. It's really, really interesting. We both think the same way. Maybe I could be a 6-star general one day, being black. Just kidding. I like the happiness aspect too. I like creating YouTube content because I'm happy when I do it. If I don't find joy and happiness in something, I generally will leave something. That's not me quitting it because I'm some sort of quitter, because that's not me as a person. I think that if you are genuinely not fun having something and doing anything, like what's the point? And you can kind of tell by the Fnatic's atmosphere that it's generally not going to be, rainbow and sunshines when they're losing. It's not even just the fan base. It's just that you can tell by the personalities on the team it's not going to be that way. So, not saying anything, I completely understand. It doesn't really matter if you go to Worlds or groups. If you're a good coach and make playoffs and make like top 4 in LEC, you're going to make a lot of money anyway. You're going to get paid by the organization. Last bit of news tonight, I was watching the Esports Awards, and G2 League of Legends team won Esports Team of the Year. Now, this doesn't mean Esports Org, because that went to Team Liquid. Cloud9 won Esports Org 2 years in a row. Team Liquid took over that spot this year. Team Liquid has been really good in other esports as well, not just League of Legends. But G2's League of Legends team, I'm going to put that in parentheses, won Esports Team of the Year. They did absolutely incredible this year. G2 was a team that defied all the odds. They were the best Western team of all time. Yes, they fell short at World Finals, and it's really funny that people think being cocky is the reason why they lost. I argue certain things in life are not as black and white as people kind of make them out to be, but this is not a black and white situation. It's just literally you lost because FPX were literally just the better team, Cockiness had nothing to do with it. Cockiness wasn't a reason why they won the other things. It's because they were just the better team overall in the day. You know what I mean? Yes, they lost one best of 5, but that should not, and I mean should not, discredit everything they've done, this year overall. They were literally the most popular team. They were one of the teams that kind of made people think about League of Legends differently. And that's not just me being a fan of the org. That's just what people had been thinking. That's just what everything had been around us. Yes, there possibly were better teams than them. How many better teams were there? Because you factor in, if you go into Worlds 2019, predictions to win Worlds 2019 were G2, FPX, SKT, and after that, it's like RNG, right? So if they're predicted to win Worlds, they get to the finals and fall short of one best of 5. You know what I mean? Like, how badly is that going to be looked in the future? And they overall do deserve this award, and they have worked so hard for it, and they deserve it. I'm not going to sit here and say they don't deserve it, because people want to downplay their, 0-3 final against FPX. Hey, things happen in life. I don't see you up there playing against FPX when you probably would have went 0-18 against Doinby. So, people are just trash human beings. I mean, it's okay. I mean, people kind of memed me, in the Cloud9 Facebook group. Oh my god, I got memed to death. And someone was like, aren't they like picking on you? No, I mean, I don't really care anyway, personally, because hey, my team was in the finals while your team was, I don't know, beaten off, at home at their laptops watching the world finals. So, it's okay. It happens. Teams lose. I've felt horrible team losses in the past. Cloud9 getting, anally fisted by Fnatic in the semifinals last year. That was great. But you should never let anyone in your life downplay your achievements, because obviously they are jealous that you obviously made something out of yourself. And the same thing goes with this G2 League of Legends roster. A lot of people want to downplay their whole year because of one best of 5, and people that do that obviously have no life. They're garbage trash cans, and that's the worst part, is that garbage trash can mentality is slowly taking over people's minds. And I'll explain that in future videos, or more videos coming up in the future, as that garbage trash can mentality, like people thinking that one best of 5 means that your entire year means nothing. You know what I mean? So that's something that I think a lot of people should overall be not as, what's the word I would pretty much use, not as, it's hard to say, what's the word I would really use for that? Don't downplay somebody's achievements because you haven't achieved anything. Because if it was the other way around, you probably think, G2 obviously don't care what people think. I mean, it's really easy for me to say they don't care, but do people that are getting paid, let's just say, millions of dollars to play League at the highest competitive level, care what some bronze level scrub thinks about their draft? Probably not. And this is a problem I think is going to happen with League of Legends moving in the future. Not necessarily a bad problem, but it can be bad in terms of the history of the game, is that if everybody calls somebody overrated and thinks everyone's year is wasted by losing one match, then where does our history really get muddled into? Is it a good history or a bad history? And it happens with Faker too. People keep calling Faker bad. It's just that thing. Like, if everything is overrated, then what is good then? What is good to somebody if everything is overrated? And that's something I'll be explaining in other videos on my main channel too, and in a podcast form. That if everything is overrated, what are we doing here then? You know what I mean? Like, if nobody can accept anybody's achievements as really good, I mean, obviously, here, I'll leave this at the end of the video because I want to preface this, that some League of Legends teams that have made it far got an easy road. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not discrediting that. H2K 2016, when they made some semifinals of Worlds, that's a pretty whack run. Like, if you try to say it's not, oh man, I'm gonna wreck you in that comment section. Oh man, I'll get you. But I'm not trying to say that people are being overall stupid, but they are. You know what I mean? Like, it's just how League community generally tends to follow things, is that they lost one important match. That means their entire year is nullified. I don't really think that's true. So that's my opinions about that. See you guys later. Like, comment, subscribe. Most of all, enjoy. I'm the Nightwing, and Way of Life Esports is signing out.
Hi there, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more stuff.
Yeah, thank you.